Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope y'all are doing well. Today I'll talk about measuring performance in Python. I'll show you the Python package you can use to measure performance very easily. At first we're going to take a look at measuring the performance of simple expressions, and then we're going to look at different function calls and how you can compare how long different functions are taking by using this package. So first we're going to import the package. It's called timeit. It's already there in the Python standard library, so you don't need to download it from scratch. So the only thing you need is timeit.timeit. This is the only function you care about. For simple statements, you can pass in the statement as a string. So we're going to pass in the statement as a string, and our statement is going to be just creating a list of 1000 integers. So we can do for I in range 1000. And then we just append I. So this is essentially gonna create a list of numbers from 1 to 1000. And to time it, you can give an argument called number to tell it how many times it should execute that function, right? So in this, not function, in this case, the statement. So in this case, you're telling timeit to execute this statement for 10 times and then give you the average time this function takes. And we're gonna print it out over here. So let's try running it. And you get the number of seconds this function took, right? So if we run it like 100 times, 0.008. So you're running the function 100 times, and this is the amount of time it's taking. If you run the function 1000 times, it should take longer. It's taking 0.05 seconds. Let me add another 0. So now you're running the function 10,000 times. It should take a bit. It's taking 0.4 seconds. What about 100,000 times? This will take a bit. It might even run into a memory issue, but let's see. There you go. It took 4 seconds to run this statement 100,000 times. So very straightforward if you have a simple statement, right? So this is gonna be a simple statement. Now, I'm gonna comment that out. And now let's measure function calls, which is more interesting. Let's say we have two functions, right? We have a loop with for. What we're gonna do is in this function, we are gonna have our numbers array. And then we're gonna iterate 1 to 100,000. There you go. And then just append the number. I. And then return the array. There you go. And we'll have another function which is doing almost the same thing, but we're gonna use a while loop instead. So let's do while, and then similarly we're gonna have a numbers array. We're gonna have a count over here, which is I, and then we're gonna do while I is less than 100,000. All you have to do is append I, and then increment I, and at the end you wanna just return your array. Right, so two functions essentially doing the same thing, one with the for loop, one with the while loop. Okay, so now let's say we want to measure the performance of these, right? So similarly, you're going to do a timeit.timeit. Instead of giving it a statement, you just give it the name of the function. In this case, it's loop with for. And then you tell it the number of times you have to run it. So let's say we want to run it 5 times. And then we have our timeit.timeit for the while loop, loop with while, which is the name of the function. And you give it the number, which is gonna be in this case 5 again. We're gonna print both out, or we can just copy it here first. So we could do time taken with for, and then we have another variable, time taken with while. Right, and then we print it out. We can do time taken with for loop, and then we give it the variable time taken with for, and then we do time taken with while loop, and then we give it time taken with while. All right, so let's run it and see what we get. Yeah, so very similar time as expected with a for loop. Running loop with for 5 times gives you 0.06 seconds, and loop with while 5 times gives you 0.07 seconds. So if we were to increase the number, I don't even know if it's gonna work, but let's try it. So we add more zeros to it. If we run it, once again, so for loop took 0.4 seconds and while loop took 0.6 seconds. You can increase the number of times the function is run from 5 to 10. It's gonna take a bit, so let's give it a while. There you go. So with for loop, it's taking 0.9, with while 1.2. So I think that gives you an idea. I mean, the difference is very negligible, but the point is you can easily compare things just by wrapping the call, just by giving the function to a timeit function, and timeit will automatically run that function for you with the set number of times. If you don't want to measure a function but a statement, you could do something like this, where you give it the statement or expression as a string, and timeit should do that for you too. There are more arguments you can pass to timeit to tune your testing. I'm gonna link the documentation in the description, you can take a look at, but this should be very handy if you want to measure any kind of performance. So instead of doing like a time.time and then a time.time at the end and then subtracting the values, this is a much cleaner and easier way to do it. So hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the chat below and I'll get to you as soon as I can. With that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.